Good day, Church Fellowship. It's wonderful to speak to you today. I can remember when all of this started. I had just come back from a mission trip, which we haven't heard a whole lot about yet, to Argentina and working with Friends Speak and getting to share the gospel through English lessons. I remember that when I left Argentina, there were maybe 1 or 2 cases of COVID. There were none in Brazil when I got there, and when I left, there was 1. I can remember coming through immigration and how really uncomplicated it was, although there were questions about this new infection, COVID-19. But in reality, it was all kind of just very simple and small. But it didn't stay small very long. It wound up being a global pandemic, and I think to a certain extent, we kind of thought, well, we'll have to deal with this for a month or 2, maybe as much as 6 weeks or 3 months. Little did we know that it would be a year, and we're not really completely out of that situation. But now, after months of many of you asking, when will things not necessarily be back to normal, but when are we going to start moving back towards normal? As most of you know, the answer is now. This video is intended to give you a little orientation and a further explanation of the things that have already started and we're going to continue to move forward on. The elders have initiated a timetable that began back on April the 25th. And it's going to take us through June and, in reality, beyond. Things will continue to remain fluid and flexible, but we have a purpose moving forward. Again, note, things need to be flexible. If the infection rates or the hospitalization statistics take a dramatic turn, we'll do our best to respond appropriately. And the dates that I'm mentioning right now might change. And the steps that we're taking might be changed or even reversed back to a more place where we're being more protective. But we are moving forward now, and I hope that we can communicate, and I hope that you'll listen all the way through the video and have an open heart about our intention to be able to make it possible for people who are completely unconcerned about COVID and people who still have some concerns about it and concerned about it getting infected, and that we can all come together and worship God together and be, as I said when we opened, God's fellowship. On April 25th, I know that many of you noticed that multiple entrances opened up. We had been only coming in here at the front and began to limit our access. Particularly our folks that desire to park out in the handicapped area along Yopon Street. We've opened that door and made it possible for them to park a little closer, not have as far a walk into where they want to be. I'm sure you've also noticed that the water fountains were again available, and our children's classrooms were switched back to some pre-COVID configurations. Not a whole lot of changes, but it was our first step towards other things. But now we're stepping into the biggest of the changes, the biggest of the way that we're going to try to move forward and roll back some of these COVID protocols. And that date is coming up this Sunday, May the 9th. Yes, you're right, it's Mother's Day. We continue and have for many weeks now seen first-time back faces on Sundays here in the auditorium. And again, we continue to respect those who wish to continue to remain cautious and maybe even staying at home. But again, I want to repeat, this process is intended to make everyone, even those people who are a little bit anxious or a little bit concerned, are seeing the statistics in a different way that maybe I do, that I want them to feel safe. I want them to be able to come back and worship and feel like they're being respected for their concerns about distancing, maybe about masking, and particularly about there being a risk of infection. I want to return not only to services, but to Bible classes, and even feel like they can be part of various fellowship events. So the first change, and you'll notice on May the 9th, is that this is the day that we're marking where our desire to have people wear masks when they come in and when they're moving in the building, that those will no longer be required or requested. The face mask you are welcome, and anyone is welcome to wear a mask, but it just is not going to be requested at this point. But that big step presents some challenge, again, because our intention is to make folks feel safe. And because there are those who wish to continue to be cautious for some time, we are going to implement a system that we can all be aware of other people's wishes as we greet one another, as we worship together, and as we study God's Word together. It's just so interesting. I don't know if you've noticed, but over the years, I've kind of, towards the end of the service, I've kind of tried to make my way back through the auditorium and greet people. And it's just always interesting how one person reaches out a hand and wants a handshake, and other people, they're not sure exactly how they want that contact to go on. This system is intended to kind of help us understand that and particularly respect that in other people. If you're somebody who's comfortable with contact, I want to know that. And if I am also comfortable with a little more contact, I want us to be able to communicate on that level. If, however, you're someone who's a little more comfortable with continuing some social distancing, I really want to know that, because I want to love you and be in relationship with you and not offend you with my actions. So we're stepping in to meet that challenge and with a system. We're asking everyone 12 years and older to select either a red lanyard or a green lanyard as they come in. They'll be available at all the entrances, here at the main entrance, at the end of D Wing, at the stairwell entrance, and also at the end of A Hall. The folks who come in the Yopon Street entrance will be able to access them here in the Welcome Center. Again, a red lanyard will signify that you still appreciate some social distancing and are more comfortable with a fist bump or an elbow bump. We will be able to communicate that simply from a distance, even simply by wearing this. A green lanyard, on the other hand, will signify that you are comfortable with less social distancing and more contact with people. I must say that I hope it means that you have gotten your vaccination and therefore are less at risk of being infected or infecting others. Again, as I said earlier, you are welcome to wear a mask, whether you choose to wear the red or choose to wear the green. You're also not required to wear a mask because you wear red. That simply is your choice. It is essential that we appreciate and respect each other's wishes on this key element of difference between individuals. We will help members, and please understand, help visitors alike understand that they can come and still be respected for their particular sentiments about safety in this unique moment in history. I hope that you don't see this as some sort of a reaction of fear or being afraid. Instead, it is the appreciation that not all of us see this situation, the risk of infection, or in reality, see the way that we should respond to it in exactly the same way. So I hope that you can be flexible. I hope that you can, as Galatians chapter 6, verse 2 says, hope that you can bear one another's burdens. We really want to be back together, and I hope you will join me in doing what it takes to make everyone feel welcome and also feel, if they are concerned about it, safe. And the intent of the request of the elders, this system that we've developed, the two lanyards, red and green lanyards, is a request by the elders to do exactly that. I want to also tell you that as you leave, we will have bins at each exit for you to return the lanyards to. We would really like for you to help us just with the effort of keeping the red and green lanyards separated. So there'll be two bins at every exit so that you can put red with red and green with green. We realize that you might want to take yours home and it be yours, but we're going to wash and sanitize them, and in reality, you don't have to worry about forgetting it at home. It'll always be available here. Note that those who are coming to the office starting Monday morning will be asked to follow this same system. The office staff will have on the color that they want to wear, and any people who visit, including our folks that come in for benevolence, we're going to ask them to participate in this as well. Another part of the changes that we're implementing is even more seating available in the auditorium. By closing the distance between the rows that we've had for nearly the last year, and no longer asking groups to be separated by 2 seats. But there will also be a section towards the back of the auditorium here and on the Yopon Street side with approximately 6 feet still of spacing still between the rows for those who want that extra space, especially our folks who choose to wear the red lanyard. Again, you're not going to be required to wear red to be back there, and you're not going to be run off if you wear green, but that is what this space is for. I know this section is where some of you have sat traditionally before COVID, and some of you have returned, and these spaces are where you typically sit. The section was not chosen to inconvenience those of you who, again, have traditionally sat here. It has been selected as the easiest route for those who are, again, nervous about too much close interaction to be able to go down the outside aisle and step out the Yopon Street door, and that way, again, they can, if they choose, avoid some of the crowding that might go on. So it's particularly important for those of you, again, who this is where you like to sit, to offer us the gift of your flexibility. That is our greatest need at this time, and that's for everyone. And as we return to normal, or at least moving towards normal as we move forward. So, as we add more rows, I really want to encourage everyone to move forward as far as you're comfortable with. I really love seeing your smiling faces, and my vision can't quite pick up as many smiles the further back you are. Also, I know that you'll be blessed. The further forward you move in this room, the more you're kind of enveloped in the sound of our voices and our worshiping together. But in reality, the change that I'm thinking nobody's going to have any objections to, I'm thinking that nobody has to have any flexibility with, that is to say that coffee is going to be available again here in the service. Be aware that this week the coffee will be exclusively available over in the fellowship as part of the Mother's Day celebrations together, starting at 9:20 on Sunday morning. Hope you're going to be there. But after that, it will move back to the Welcome Center. The door that leads out here to the side will now be open, and allowing those who want to avoid sort of the crowd that might be there by the Welcome Center desk to be able to move out and come back in the side there. We hope that that lets everybody enjoy their coffee again. And finally, I'm really excited about this. The elders are pointing to Sunday, June the 13th. That's a few weeks away now, as a Welcome Home Sunday. One of the key losses over the last year has been our family fellowship meals. This will be our first congregational meal on this side of quarantining and vaccines. I want to be sure let you know that it won't be a potluck. We'll not be asking everybody to bring food from all over. We don't have all the details worked out, but there's going to be lots of fun and exciting things coming together over the next month or so, and you'll be hearing more about it as we get closer. Above all else, want to be sure that you mark that date. Hope you'll make a special effort to be there for Bible class, worship, and breaking bread together here on June the 13th. You need to know that for now, our contactless communion and our contactless contribution is going to continue. But look for Kids Gift to be back online really, really soon. And while we're moving forward with these changes, I think that we can all appreciate that we've learned a little bit more about how infections are spread this year. So hand sanitizers will still be available at all our entrances, again, for anyone who wants to use them. So I'm asking you to keep this process in your prayers. Again, especially the way that we cooperatively work together to be compassionate with each other, be respectful of each other. Again, I'll remind you, Galatians 6:2, bear with one another's burdens. That means to say that for you, what is easy to carry may not be as easy for somebody else. And Jesus calls on us, Paul in this sense calls on us to help carry those burdens, to cooperate together, be flexible with each other, to be respectful of each other. The next line is really key. He goes so far as to say, in bearing one another's burdens, we are fulfilling the law of Christ. To love one another is to be willing to bear another's burden. So again, I hope that you'll be prayerful about this. I hope that you'll join us in full participation here in person at church. The reason we're doing all this is so that we can be together again. We're making room for you. We're also making allowances for those who, again, continue to be a little bit concerned, or maybe a lot concerned, about the risk of being in public places with people. So I hope that you'll consider what we've done. I hope that you'll consider the way that you can participate. I hope that you'll consider that we want to be together, to worship and study the Bible together, and to work together in this journey that Jesus has called us to live in His name. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to call the church office. Of course, the office will be closed Saturday and Sunday, but you can pick up with us anytime. Also, you're welcome to contact any of the elders if you need more information or have some clarification that you want. Finally, I just want to say, and I ask you to join me in being thankful for our elders, again, in the way that they've worked diligently to be wise in the things that they've done over the last year, but also now as we're moving into these changes, pointing us more and more towards normal. Thankful for the way that they've been deliberate, thankful for the heart that they've discerned with. And now as we get nearer and nearer to the end of the majority of our concerns, I hope that you'll join me in especially being thankful for those men who had to do really hard things over this last year. Thanks for watching. Thank you for being people of God. Thank you for being the people that I call church fellowship. See you Sunday.